Yo, Ferret, come check this out.
What'd you guys do while I was gone? Oh
Uh,
my gosh, bro, you built a whole cow while I was gone for Thanksgiving?
yeah, man, have fun.
Oh no! Uh,
Yeah, man. Hope you like it. Have a good time. Peace.
I looked around in complete confusion and disarray. I had only been gone for a few days. I went to go see some family for Thanksgiving, and I come back to my friends putting me in a prison of bedrock and surrounded with a wall full of chests. And with that being said, let the holy cow prison break begin. So the only obvious thing I could do initially starting out was looking at all the chests. I started going through them all and I found 7 chickens in the second one I had opened. I don't know what this was for, but it was probably to help me from dying. Upon further inspection, the highest and furthest chest I could possibly reach had 5 oak planks inside of it. I grabbed those oak planks, but I honestly didn't know what I could do with them. I did, however, see a crafting table out of the corner of my eye when I spawned in here, so I knelt down below, went to the crafting table, and I just clicked up top to see what I could actually craft with these 5 planks. No way, it's a good thing I have this recipe book because I would have never thought to craft a boat with these planks, I swear. The next part was pretty easy because with a boat you can put it down and as long as you can click on it, it'll take you wherever it is. Be resourceful, no using glowstone, use your brain waffles, and sub to my friend IronWaffles. Thanks, James. I headed over to the next sign and it actually said place item here, and this could only mean one thing, that there was something inside of this room to activate these pistons, so I immediately went into breaking all the chests that I could. By the time I finished destroying all the chests on the first row, I noticed that there was 2 different piles in my inventory, which meant that one pile was a trap chest, and if you don't know this, you can use trap chests to activate redstone things. So it was only obvious that I was going to use these trap chests to activate the redstone piston and hopefully push me into the next room. When I opened the chest, you could see that the piston activated, but the trickiest part was how could I use this to push me through the hole into the next room? And I know I'm showing you that I made it through the hole the first try, but I promise you I edited out the 12 or 13 tries that it actually took me to make it. I looked around in the next room that had 2 iron doors and it seemed like there was no way to open them, no buttons, pressure plates, or levers at all. Moments later, I looked through the glass and I seen down a bedrock hallway that there was a picture frame with an item inside of it. I then broke out the glowstone and the glass, and once I dropped down, I noticed there was another item frame that was hiding behind the bedrock wall with a fishing pole inside of it. Quickly grabbed the fishing pole from the item frame, knocked the button off the wall in the other item frame, and then I used the fishing pole to pull the button into me, which I assumed was to open the iron door. I don't know how, but I managed to get through the door with the button, and then I came across what I assumed was the cow's first leg. When looking down there, I had no way to get down there, and it didn't look like there was anything either, so I just decided to go on to the next part of the prison. I passed through this really long hallway, but I wanted to make sure I inspected all the walls so I didn't forget anything. I even turned my FOV slider all the way down to like 30 so that I could look down, but yeah, there was nothing. I then stumbled upon a sign that said place your extra stuff in this chest besides your rod. They said rod. This next room was especially hard though because I had to put everything in my chest and all they left me was a torch. I easily looked around for 15 minutes and I was on the verge of giving up. I could have used the chest, but I felt like that wasn't the objective. And that was when I finally got the bright idea to go into third person and look above the hallway over the 2 blocks that I kept trying to get over. Oh my god, there's some ice up there, I can use that. I placed the torch as far back as I could and then I just sat there and waited for it to melt. After swimming over the waterfall to get over the double block jump, I ran into another hallway. I sat there for a few minutes trying to see if there was anything inside of it, and yet again, there wasn't. I then noticed at the end of the hallway there was a torch and another double block jump, which I had nothing to get over. I broke the torch and immediately fell into lava, which then put me in snow. I really thought I was dead. I didn't take much damage, but I see my life flash before my eyes. I cleaned out the powdered snow with the exception of 2 blocks just in case I needed them. I then found a furnace, a chest, and a crafting table up above. When I opened the chest, I found 2 sticks, 3 iron ore, a wooden sword, a wet sponge for some odd reason, and 2 planks. I immediately went into smelting the iron ore because that was really the only use it had, so that was just a guess. I then grabbed the chest for some extra fuel just in case I needed it. Now the hardest part was having to use my brain to figure out what to actually craft, so I opened up the table and looked through all the recipes that I could make things with, and that's when I remembered I could make a bucket and smelt a sponge down and take the water out of the sponge and use the bucket of water to hopefully get out of this leg. So in case you didn't know this, if you put a sponge in the furnace, put a fuel source underneath it, like this chest for example, once the fuel source burns, you put the bucket underneath it and then you get a bucket of water. I noticed there was a hole up top by the lava, so I used the water bucket to swim my way up to the very top. Once I got to the top, there was a trapdoor by the lava pit, which I used to crawl through the hole. I threw my bucket of water on top of the lava to turn it into obsidian, and then before I headed out, I tried to grab the trapdoor, which I couldn't. And I was very sad because I was hoping I would not need this later on. I went ahead to the next part of the prison, but that's when I remembered the first leg that I ran into earlier had a piece of glowstone at the bottom, and there was no way for me to get down there, so I decided to head over there and use the water bucket to get to the bottom. Once I got to the bottom of the leg, I destroyed the glowstone, which actually revealed a chest below. Inside the chest was, awkwardly enough, just one single potato. I don't know what I was gonna do with this, but I grabbed the potato in the chest and I just headed back to the next part of the prison. At the next part of the prison, I had to use my bucket of water to swim through a tunnel, which presented me with a crafting table floating in the air and a villager sitting down below by a compost pile. Now, before I went down there, I made sure there was nothing that I could craft, which there wasn't, so I just jumped down to say hi to the villager. Hey, what's up, my guy? What's up, Dooter Magooter? Can you help me get out of this prison? I've been here for an hour. I checked with the villager to see what trades he had, and lo and behold, it was a potato. Most importantly, he needed 21 potatoes, but I only had one. It was clear that I needed this emerald, so I headed to the next room to see what there was, and there were some skeletons inside. What for, I really don't know. Next to the skeletons was a sign that said emerald here. I wasn't sure that the trap would actually only work with emeralds, so I grabbed a stick and threw it in there because I didn't know if my friends were joking with me. And yeah, it only works with emeralds. Next to the skeletons was another cow's leg. At the bottom was a chest and a little pool of water. Now I was gonna try to jump down into the pool of water right away, but the chances of me dying was 99%. Once I got to the bottom of the leg, I looked around real quick to see if I could find anything extra besides just the ladders in the chest, and there was nothing. Inside of the chest was a hoe and a piece of dirt, which I could use to finally plant my first potato. I headed back up top to the villager's room so that I could plant this majestic potato, but the thing that really threw me off is the potato didn't need water to grow. Maybe that's just something I'm not familiar with, but yeah, it didn't need no water. I did, however, need some bone meal, so I went into the next room, and it's a good thing that I saved this wooden sword because I had to kill like 20 freaking skeletons.
15 minutes later.
The crafting table was barely in reach, but just close enough so that I could make all the bone meal that my heart would desire. I then took all that bone meal and sat here for another 10 minutes doing nothing but making potatoes.
2 very boring minutes later.
Hey, Dooter Magooter, what's 9 plus 10? 21 potatoes, now give me my emerald. I then grabbed a block of dirt and headed over to the next room. There was this bow that was really driving me crazy and I couldn't seem to get. I don't know why, but I put a torch on it to try to get it and I ended up losing the torch too. I finally threw the emerald inside the bin and surprisingly enough, the door opened immediately. What a surprise, right? Heading to the next prison, I was presented with a chest that said, put your water bucket in here. I was pretty worried because to me, the water bucket was probably one of the most important things during a prison break. Now the next room was interesting because I seen a crafting table, a pool of water, a dispenser with a target up above, and even a cage full of spiders. Once I headed over to the cage, I noticed another item frame in the back. When approaching the item frame, it actually had a bamboo stick, which I was confused about. What would I need bamboo for? I decided to open up the spider cage and kill all the spiders, which took me a really long time because my sword actually broke, so I had to sit there and click like 57,000 times. After killing all the spiders, I took out all the glass, I went in there, grabbed the string and the bamboo, and I immediately went over to plant it because I really don't know what other use I would have besides to plant the bamboo. After planting it, I went over to the crafting table and finally figured out that what I was supposed to make was a bow. So I took all the bamboo, made as many sticks as I could, grabbed the spider string, and I shot the dispenser above. For some odd reason, I felt like the dispenser had more than one item because I still didn't have enough things to actually pass through over into the next room. I shot it a few more times and boom, there it was, a trapdoor and 3 magma cream blocks. What could this be for? Yes, I finally got a trapdoor for the next room. Let me grab it real quick and bring it with me just in case I need it. I really feel like I've been in here for like 2 or 3 hours already, and not to mention, this next room looks even harder. Little did I know this room was going to be a lot harder. I looked around for a few minutes and didn't find anything on the ceiling or floor. There was a waterfall that was full of lava, a brewing station with some nether wart and some blaze powder, and then in the furnace there was just 3 random blocks of sand. I immediately used my chest to smelt the sand into glass because, well, chests are honestly pointless. And then there was the protruding glowstone, which kind of made no sense. So when I broke it, there was actually a crafting table underneath it. The only thing I could make with the glass was glass bottles, and that immediately made me think fire resistant potion. So I used my trap door, went to the other side, filled up the bottles with some water real quick, threw them in the brewing station, and I made some fire resistant potions real quick so I could go in this lava waterfall. I went inside of the waterfall and I swam all the way to the top, but there's nothing up there. But all the way at the bottom, I found a chest, and in that chest was just one single button. This room was by far the hardest room yet because it took me around 45 minutes just to get out of it. After grabbing the button, I swam all the way back up to the top of the room, ran over to the iron door, and I placed the button down so that I could go into the next room of the prison. I immediately regretted going into the next room because I left the crafting table behind. I really was hoping that I didn't need it. When looking around the room some more, I noticed a cow hanging from the ceiling, an extra crafting table. Thank you. I was really worried about that one. I took a few more minutes to look around the room and see if I could find anything, and I found another iron door with a pressure plate. And I was assuming this was the last room. So I stood on the pressure plate and was like, oh, I can get out of here real quick, easy. But the joke was on me, it wasn't that easy. I opened the chest real quick next to the iron door when we first entered the new room, and it was filled with 3 candles. I was pretty confused, but I knew I needed to get up top by this crafting table to at least get next to the cow. All I had was a sponge and a trap door, which still wasn't enough to get up to the top. After I broke the sponge, I noticed the candle still floated in the air. That gave me the idea of using the candles to just get up to the top. It finally made sense. That's why I had 3 candles. Once I got up to the top, I noticed a hidden little wall door in the back upper part of the prison, and there was a chest inside of it too. So I went back real quick, I grabbed the sponge, and I jumped up and grabbed the chest, and inside of it was some hay. After grabbing the hay, I went back over to the crafting table. Next to it was a sign that read, "The cow will die when falling." I'm confused. So I used the hay to make a hay bale to absorb the cow's falling damage. After throwing the hay down real quick, I went up next to the cow, and this is what happened. Friends just happened to name the cow sub to IronWaffles, and I don't know if you know this, but that means that if you're watching this, you better sub to me. You better do it right now because it's free, and I'd really appreciate it. Also, only 1% of the people watching my videos are actually subscribed, so hit the button! I very carefully shoved the cow off the top of this bedrock because I couldn't afford for this cow to die. I would lose 3 hours of prison break progress. And, I missed the hay bale, but luckily, sub to IronWaffles, he didn't die. So I put a lead on him and I tugged him all the way over to the pressure plate so I could finally, hopefully, escape this prison. Once I got the cow on the pressure plate, I used the post to hold him in the place so that he couldn't leave. When going through the iron door, there was just a bunch of dirt to dig through, so I dug all the way straight down, ended up in what I assume is the cow's penis. My friends had me escape through the cow's penis. I jumped down into a spot of water and horribly missed it. Please don't watch that. And then when I turned around, my friends were sitting up top to greet me. At least I thought. They decided to kill me instead. Why are you doing this? Please don't. Oh my gosh. James, you're done. That's it for today's Holy Cow Prison. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you want this as a map, I can try to upload it for you guys. Just let me know in the comments down below. And if you have any ideas or other YouTube videos you think will be cool for me to do in the future, just throw them down in the comments.